So we'll begin with, we had our old drone design with the insulation styrofoam. That drone it was okay. It wasn't really doing what we needed to, which was fly. It would get barely off the ground, and so that's when we knew, okay, some things needed to be changed. We were running through ESCs really quickly. We're burning through money at this point. Over the winter break, we went through and started analyzing what it could be. We started testing just the frame without any extra styrofoam, and that's what's seen. And so what we were doing is, we were trying to see if we could get some sort of flight, and that's when we got the drone spinning in circles, and it was kind of like almost like a top. It was just spinning around. And so that's when we went to the drawing board and we were like, okay, what are the issues that we see? We did a trade-off analysis. Okay, where's our base level and where's our overhead? So that way we had some wiggle room. And that's when we officially got it to fly. Like, maybe not sustainable flight, but it was off the ground and much higher than it had ever been before. And so from there, that's when, we started going to the whiteboard. We started mapping out, okay, how big do we want it? What do we want it to look like? Could we make it modular? What could we possibly do to help future iterations of this drone design? And so what we landed on is the design that you see before you. The drone is flying, and it's able to fly with a second drone on top of it, meaning that not only does it have the thrust it needs to get itself in the air, but it also has enough thrust to withstand another drone on top of it at the same time. It was great.
I wanted to simulate the transfer function. I got 2 VMs set up, virtual machines. With that, you can simulate the transfer between the 2 VMs. Once I did that, I made it automated using a bash script between 2 drones over the VMs. Now you can start simulating that using Dockers and Kubernetes. You package that bash script into a Docker. You run the Docker just to see that the Docker is running. And if that Docker is running, now all of a sudden you can just send it out to whatever VM you want and use Kubernetes to automate that deployment. Implement that over Raspberry Pis themselves. And for every single one of those Raspberry Pis, they have an instance of Kubernetes running and an instance of Docker running. Getting that installed was a whole other task. Once you have all of them installed, what you can do is you get the transfer file running on whatever you want the docking drone to be. And once you do that with the small drone, what you can do is you start orchestrating Kubernetes. You grab all the system data for the other Raspberry Pis, whatever information that might be. So their system configuration, where you want to dump the files, what their IP addresses are. You want to specify what the IP address of the actual drone is and what the IP address of the Ethernet port is. And so what ends up happening is once you have everything set up, packaged into a Docker, you get an Ethernet cable, you get the Pixie camera that we use to identify the green color. The drone hovers over the larger drone and uses the Pixie camera to identify where the landing port is. You see the Ethernet cable port that you want to use. Camera will start scanning the area for green. If it detects green for a long enough period, the drone should start to descend. And once the drone has descended far enough and it's still seeing green, it'll plug in the Ethernet cable. As long as you've lined up the drone correctly, it will slot into the Ethernet port. And the transfer sequence from there will ensue. It'll make sure that it's detecting green. From there, we just start dumping the files themselves using the SCP command. And once you're done with that, now you can check the other drone and make sure that the files are in the correct location and that you can unencrypt them using whatever password was prompted through Kubernetes. And that pretty much summarizes the sequence as a whole.